Welcome back to our last 30, a podcast about life, death, and everything in between. Caesar and I are here to have another great topic, man. We've been developing this one for a little bit and pretty
hmm
excited to share today's episode with you.
Yeah, no, we're excited. I think coming up with the holidays coming up, I think it's an important
Yeah.
topic to talk about. And we just passed also Dia de los Muertos not too long ago, a couple days ago. So I think it's a good transition to start talking about some of these topics leading up to the upcoming holidays.
Yeah. So, this one's another emotional reference for us. It's a podcast where we're going to really talk about what it's like to lose someone, and then, that first holiday season surfaces, and what that may look like, and not only the first Christmas or Thanksgiving or Dia de los Muertos, but in the years after that you lose someone, what does that look like? And so we're gonna reflect on how those traditions change, how the house, uh, which was once full of laughter, perhaps in your family, music, and now might feel a little bit more quiet, and that grief
Yep.
starts to set in, and that's kind of what we're going to explore. Particularly, we're going to concentrate a little bit on the Mexican, on the Latino side, where it's so common that family is just everything. So today, guys, thank you for listening in. This conversation is going to honor those that we've lost while exploring, how we keep their memory alive during the most sentimental time of the year, and that's October, November, and December, and even into New Year's for that matter.
hmm
So join us today, man, and we really appreciate it. Again, we're officially over 10,000 subscribers. We're pretty
hmm
excited about that, and we're eager to continue to provide this resource for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we're close to like 11,000 subscribers now. So it's we've been doing pretty good work. I know we've been absent for a couple weeks. Just bro, life happens, and we've been busy with everything. So um, I think this episode will be a good one to catch back up on it. But I think obviously we'll talk a little bit about the people that we've lost and the people that have transitioned as well. But I think specifically within the Mexican families and the Hispanic families, as we continue to grow older, um, each individual takes their own path. I guess
Yeah.
they go on their own. They go do this traditions with their new family, with their spouse, with whatever. So I think it also we'll touch a little bit on that too, because I know a lot of families, Mexican families specifically, at the beginning when the children, they remember that the whole family was there, uncles, aunts, grandpas, grandparents.
Yeah.
As they continue to grow older, they go to their partners or uncles go elsewhere. Their grandparents pass away sadly or whatever the case may be. So we'll also talk a little bit about those transitions
Yeah.
and how and what does it feel like having those empty seats at the table each and every year, and how we celebrate and continue to do the things and the traditions that we've always done with the people missing.
Yeah. And you'll hear in our voice today, guys, that Caesar and I are both under the weather. We're a couple thousand miles apart, but the fall, uh, weather has set in, and that tends to make people feel
Allergies.
affected by allergies, and all kinds of different ailments. So please excuse us as we push through this, but we're good. Um, you know, if you're listening in, maybe if it's the first time you've ever joined us, or maybe if you're a long time listener, you know that Caesar was born in Mexico, and then so he has a Mexican base, and then he grew up in the United States, and so the his core is Mexican, but those branches that sprout have largely happened here in the United States. So that unique influence for him. In my case, I'm an American born in the United States, and have lived largely only in the United States, except for travel with work. Um, my understanding, my core, is American with a influence of Mexican specific cultural influences. And so those are the lenses that we're coming from today, those unique perspectives. And so we share that so you know that we're not ignoring other traditions and cultures. Is we're just only talking about ours, right? So we can talk about our perspective. And so, you know, I'll start off by asking you, Caesar, what was Christmas like in your home, with strong Mexican ties, but living in the United States, you know, and so what did that look like for you guys,
I mean, I think
particularly in
it
North
has.
Texas?
I think it definitely shifted. I think obviously I was in Mexico till I was 8. So those first 8 years, which probably I remember like 3 or 4 of them, it was everybody. It was uncles, aunts, bro. We would party all night long. See
Yeah.
the kids in the freaking chairs out falling asleep. It was crazy. It was hectic, right? So we all got together. Once we moved out here, it was the very first one um, felt very different. We didn't even do it at our house. We were actually, where did we go? We went to my dad's manager's house at that time. My dad used to work at Panda Express, and like I said, I think I got here August, September, something like that. And December for Christmas, we were at the manager's house, and it felt different, right? Like we were there for a couple hours, had dinner, and then came back home. That whole aspect or the things that I was used to in Mexico really shifted from the get go, and then we continue to do it. We got our own apartment by the following year, so we would host it at our house or whatever. But basically, it was mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, myself. Sometimes uncles and aunts would come. A couple of years, we had uncles and my grandma from my mom's side come from Mexico to spend a couple of days here and stuff like that. So it has definitely shifted, and I think as I've grown older, it's been even more different. Like it's just us, my mom, my sister, my
Yeah.
brother, and it's not the whole night. It's not the whole thing because like my
Yeah.
my sister's
Babies.
husband's family is also in North Texas, so they live about 40
Okay.
minutes away. So maybe it's either the 24th they're at the house with us. They'll go in the morning to the his parents' house. Sometimes they'll come over to our house or stuff like that. For my brothers, kind of the same thing. Like on the 24th, they're probably with us, and then the 25th they spend it with my sister-in-law's side of the family. So it has definitely shifted and evolved. With my dad, whenever my dad was still here after my parents had divorced, he never really came over to the house for Christmas. So we would either, to be honest, I think we either would go to his apartment early in the night on the 24th, have dinner there, open the gifts or whatever, and then head home to mom and whoever was going to be there and do that. Or on the 25th, we would see my dad for a
Yeah.
couple hours again, have dinner, do whatever, and um, do it then. So it definitely has shifted for sure.
And that, you know, that's tough, man. That's what separation of geography, physicality, but also what separation in a relationship does to those traditions, right? You know, and so divorce is so common, man. And we don't often talk about what that type of transition and grief does to the family. But
Hmm.
it's equally impactful as death, particularly for children,
Yeah.
and uniquely during these traditions. You know, for myself, we always celebrated Christmas very much, as I would argue most Americans do, Christmas morning. And it wasn't until we actually came up to the DFW about 20 years ago that we saw a larger, specifically Mexican influence in Noche Buena. You know, we had done some things, but it was with the church. It was with the Catholic Church celebration, but it wasn't like going to people's houses and celebrating. And
Yeah.
I know that it's more common for people from Mexico to celebrate on the 24th. Is that is
Hmm.
that is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's usually how we do it. Like, especially like I said, we like to party. We'll start dinner at like 8, 9 at night whatever. Start
The
having dinner.
24th.
The 24th, yeah. So by like midnight or a little bit past midnight, that's when we start opening gifts and stuff like that with the kids and everybody. So we're up till 2, 3 in the morning, um, till the 25th. Then we sleep in and then have some recalentado, some menudo, whatever it is that we made for the 25th. Because usually on the 25th, everything's closed. So
True.
we it's not like we can go eat somewhere or to Walmart and purchase or whatever, right? So we'll either have some recalentado or we already planned ahead for the following day. But like I said, since pretty much my brothers and sisters go to their different ways, is we're just at the house chilling on the 25th. They're all with their respective sides of the family, and then like I would just chill at the house, or sometimes I would go and drive around the Christmas lights in downtown or whatnot, and just check those out and come back home because there's really not much else to do. So yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Yeah. You know, and that's the thing, right? It's like all these beautiful traditions, and then and it sounds like we're talking. It is a podcast about cultural traditions, but it's not. It's that's the lead in to the next piece.
Hmm.
And I was looking at a social media this week because this a couple of days ago we celebrated um, Dia de los Muertos, and and you know how social media really is calling it the absolute most beautiful custom that the Latino community has, and that is that ability, that opportunity to celebrate people who have passed, and that's a unique one. You know, we are intentional about honoring those who have transitioned,
Yeah.
um, and we can do that. You know, on early November, but then Thanksgiving and Christmas were really made to bring families together. Cold weather, usually no matter where you are in the United States, it's going to be cold, and so everyone's inside for the most part. And so, can you talk about what that looks like for you from that cultural lens? How do you celebrate after someone has passed? What does that look like for you?
Honestly, it's just trying to keep the traditions alive. I think it's trying to do everything that we would normally do if the person was still there, and just continue to do that. I think we say it all the times, like, oh, they wouldn't want you to be sad. Oh, they wouldn't want you to X, Y, or Z, or they wouldn't want you to not do this. So we just try to continue moving forward and doing whatever we can. Obviously, there's times and there's certain points in the night or certain points throughout the celebrations that you're like, oh dang, I wish they were here, right? Or I wish I could have seen them, or this or that. But at the end of the day, we're still here. We still have family here. We're fortunate enough to do that. We're fortunate enough to be able to be with people that we still care for and love. So we try to continue to have those traditions and continue to move forward. Especially now, I think for us specifically with the babies, there's 3 babies in the family now. So still trying to give them that Christmas, having those memories for them. I think it's important. So I think we kind of just move forward. Um, like normal, but obviously deep down we know that there's somebody missing. There's people missing at that table that we could have done this or that. And I think for us also now in this day and age, um, pictures and all of that start coming up again. The memories on Facebook, all this stuff. So you just sit there and reminisce. You see the pictures of when they were here, the pictures that you have when we were together, things like that. So honestly, like I said, I think we just got to stay strong and continue moving forward, even knowing that they are missing um, at that table.
You know, that's the tough thing, right? It's like I know growing up, I used to hear people say like, you know, someone that's coming over and don't mention that their child or their spouse or family member just passed away.
Hmm.
But I kind of think it's the opposite. I think people want you to engage with them, right? They don't want you to. I mean, they don't want you to say stuff like people can say stupid shit, bro. How
Of
about that?
course, always.
People say stupid shit when someone's passed away, like, "Hey, man, well, it's been a month. You know, you should be good by now, huh?" Like,
Yeah.
you know, if someone just lost their child, dude, they're never gonna be okay. By the way, they're never gonna be okay.
Hmm.
You know, you just lost your spouse after 10, 15, 20 years of 40, 50 years of being together and married, man, and they're not gonna just be okay. And so I do think that getting together during the holidays serves some other purposes, and that's to continue to live. That's to continue to celebrate and to remember, man, that we have each other. And it's
Hmm.
my hope. It's my own, you know, that if you're in that situation, you do have someone you can go to. You have someone's house, and if you don't, find a support group. There's other things you can do in the community if it's, you know, Thanksgiving or Christmas time, and there are resources, churches and you know, different religious groups that get together during the
Yeah.
holidays because they're very mindful that people are alone during that period.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it comes with what is that term? Seasonal depression too. Hits pretty bad around these time of the year, and I think, like I said, as we continue to grow older, the table per se, the people at the table changes, but the love that we feel for those people that we're there with, that remains, and I think that's what we got to keep in mind, that we got to still push forward. We got to continue to do everything. And like you said, if you're alone, or if you don't have somebody close to you, or your family's far away or whatever, find somebody where you could be able to spend those holidays, spend those days, and not be by yourself. Because I think that's where it kind of hits you the worst.
So, can you talk a little bit about, excuse me, about how faith, food, kind of gets you through the holidays? You know, if you've recently lost someone, what does that look like in your family for you, Caesar?
I mean, honestly, we're Catholic, obviously, but we haven't been like super devout Catholics, and practicing to the T the tradition. So for us, I think it's just honestly just saying a prayer once in a while, doing some things like that. I think it's more individualized now. We don't go to church weekly. We're not there every week or whatever, but I think it has now moved on to each individual person prays or does whatever they feel is right for them. So I think that's honestly how we try to do that. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously the food that goes with it too, the faith, all of that brings back the memories, brings back some of that stuff. Like whenever I was in Mexico, we would go to mass on the 24th, right before coming home for dinner. So little things like that we've now moved away from a little bit because honestly, it kind of it kind of hurts, like back in Mexico, it was my grandma, it was my mom, my sister, whatever. It was a whole family going together. Now, if I were to go by myself, or if I were to go with my sister or whatever, like that, it would feel a lot different. And I think for us, we just try to remember the good, remember the people that we've lost, and the people that have transitioned, and the people that are not with us, because like I said, sometimes we're at different states, we're in different places, so we're not able to be all together all the time. And just continue to uplift each other even from afar, and continue to do those traditions as best as we can.
Yeah, it's hard, man. You know, you're talking about largely cultural traditions from another country. I think the cool thing about living in Texas, particularly in the DFW, is um, if you're not actually related to, you know, blood relative to someone, there's a family that will adopt you for the season. You know, of all races and ethnicities,
Yep.
and you get to really explore some of those cultural traditions. You know what stands out for me having worked at the university for so long, is we have a lot of international students. And,
Yeah.
our universities in the United States have done well to invite them in, staff members and faculty members
Mm-hmm.
to, if you will, adopt a couple international students for the holiday season, and then bring them into your home and introduce them to what Christmas looks like for you for
Mm-hmm.
that day or for that couple of days, and we've done that in the past, and those are always fun things, right? You learn about their culture and they learn about
Mm-hmm.
yours. They also, I think, both parties learn about stereotypes you might have. Like,
Yeah.
you might think maybe you don't celebrate in whatever said country, and that's not completely true. Oftentimes they learn from us. They're like, so you're American, you have American traditions, but you are Mexican or Latino. Like, yeah, we honor both
Mm-hmm.
cultures here, well, in our home, anyways. And there's so many unique cultures around the United States. Um, but I love learning, and I think about the two groups in our university that have large student representation that are international, and that's Indian students and Chinese students,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just so open to being spending the afternoon or evening
Yeah.
with families and learning about American culture and Christmas time and what that means to each family. And it does
Absolutely.
matter, right? Some families, depending on your religious beliefs, that might look different for you.
Yeah. 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 But
So, for you guys, after your dad passed, for you, Caesar, actually, do you remember what that first Christmas was like? Those first, couple of holiday seasons, and how did you get past the grieving part?
honestly, I don't remember. I think I don't know if I blocked it from my head or if I don't want to
Yeah,
remember or what. But my dad passed away November 8th, so about a little bit over a month before Christmas. Um, yeah, I don't remember. I'm sure there's pictures.
yeah,
I'm sure there's videos. And if you ask me any other year, I might be able to be like, oh, this is where we were, this is what we did, this is whatever. But that first one, I have no recollection. Like I said, I don't know if I just blocked it from my head because of how I was feeling and the grief that I was still going through, or what. But and I hadn't really thought about it until now. Now that I'm thinking about it, like yeah, I don't remember.
I remember you talking a little bit about it, actually. We spent a lot of time together back then, and I remember you saying something along the lines of, um, you added to the mix. You added alcohol at
Oh
your
yeah,
mom's house. Yeah, and then you and your brother started drinking pretty good, and next thing you know, emotions came out, man. And if I remember correctly, um, it got a little emotional. You know,
well, that was before my dad passed away, but yes, 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 I do
before that was
remember.
before. Okay, 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 okay.
Yeah, yeah, that was whenever my dad was sick. I do, yeah. We got very emotional, very emotional that
We're,
night.
yeah, we're using code words, right? Maybe it
Very,
got physical. Maybe y'all was gonna kick each other's ass.
yeah. So like, yeah. I'm going back to through my pictures now. We were probably still drinking a lot at that point. And it honestly, it just feels different. Even in pictures, it just
Yeah,
I don't know. So it feels like something's missing. Like I said, my dad really didn't come over for Christmas, but even in the pictures seem a little bit darker.
yeah,
It's the same house, same lighting, same tree,
yeah,
but for some reason there's some glare, there's some darkness to some of the pictures.
yeah.
Maybe that's how they were taken. I don't know, but yeah, I did not recall at all this Christmas.
And that's the thing, man. I was looking today, as we filmed the podcast, and by the time we post this, Christmas is about a month and a half away.
Yeah,
So
and you know
Thanksgiving
what?
is a couple weeks away.
Oh, never mind. I was about to say, and I think by the time we post this, it'll be an anniversary of my dad passing. But no, it'll be we're posting this the week after.
Well, the thing is, like in the next 5 to 6 weeks, we're gonna have gone through Dia de los Muertos last week,
Hmm.
Thanksgiving in a couple weeks, and Christmas a month
Yeah.
after that. And it's going to be tough for a lot of people,
Oh.
whether a family member recently passed, or it's a second or third year without their family member, or the reality of life. Some people are going to get news this week and next week that a family member has passed. Whether they were sick and you quote unquote saw it coming,
Yeah.
or there's a medical emergency and you didn't see it coming, man.
Hmm.
And I remember, man, growing up, and I remember a story about a family that had gifts under their tree, and a couple of days before Christmas, tragedy struck, and by the time they made it back home, a day or two before Christmas, there were presents under their Christmas tree that the person had wrapped, a
Mm.
couple weeks prior, was no longer there,
Yeah.
or someone had a present wrapped that was never going to open it, man. And that just messes with your head right there, man.
It does.
And that's the reality of the life that we live. There it ends only one way. We all transition. You know,
Mhm.
actually, we joke about stuff we see on social media and TikTok, but I was listening to one today. And there was this guy talking about siblings, and he said whether you have two, three, five, or eight siblings,
I don't know what you're talking about. Yep.
yeah, one is gonna go to every funeral.
Hmm.
He's gonna bury every brother and sister, he or she,
And one will
and
not
one of
have
them,
anything.
yeah, and one of them will go to none of his or her brothers or sisters' funerals.
Hmm.
You know, and man, that just really made me pause and take a different perspective about this life that we live, man. And funerals have that way of forcing you to slow things down and really rethink everything.
Yeah.
And that's what this shows. That's what today's podcast is about, man. Is members of our community, whether it's a subculture or culture, whether it's just being American, just being global citizens. Um, we're going to experience uh, difficulty at the very least, and maybe even trauma
Hmm.
during the holidays, man. And our hope, as we continue to talk, is that you'll use this podcast as an opportunity to reach out to people if that's a possibility, right? If that's still an option, to reach out to people and just kind of check in. If you still have your parents living, depending on your age, you're lucky, honestly, right? And our hope as two very humble workers and podcasters is that you'll seek those opportunities to make things right as
Hmm.
much as you can. You
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah. If there's people in your life that you don't talk to, I think it's also a good opportunity to reach back out. You never know. When might be the last time that you see them, the last time that you talk to your loved one. So there's no point in holding grudges or whatever. We've talked about it in other episodes.
it fucking feels good though. Holding a grudge,
But it
feels
don't do you any good.
it does nothing for you, man. It serves
I
no
think the
purpose.
opposite. Yeah, exactly. It's the opposite. It ruins you. It makes you bitter. It makes you. I mean, we did a whole series on
We
forgiveness.
did. We did, man.
So
About
just
forgiving yourself. If you guys
exactly.
remember that.
So reach out, make amends if you need to, talk to them. If you don't want to talk to them after that, at least you know that whatever happens, if anything does happen, you go and don't have any regrets. Because I think that's the worst part of it. When something happens, something tragic happens, and then we are left with the regrets afterwards.
I'll share this with you, man. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. I did an interview the other day, and I was talking to this gentleman who's a CEO of this company, and we ended it with hey, look forward to talking to you again and exploring this opportunity, see what this looks like. Pretty standard transition, and I had mentioned earlier about working my calendar to fit the interview in because I had um, duties. My primary duties during the day are my job, and in the evening it's picking up my children, and depending on the day of the week, from various practices
Yeah.
and activities. Basically, I'm an Uber driver. Okay, I deliver food, and I pick up my children from various activities. Right.
There you go.
But what I told the gentleman was that the importance of that balance, it's more than a statement. It's not just, well, I'm looking for a place where I could find the balance, the, as they say, work life balance. No, man, at my age, I'm looking to ensure that, to remind myself, you could work your ass off, Caesar, to the last day. But when you die, bro, you get transitions so quick.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be like, "Hey, what was that guy? That one little fat dude? What was his name?" Like, "Oh yeah, what was his name?" That kind of stuff happens all the time, man.
Yep.
I ain't
Yep.
kidding around, dude. Be like, "No, that dude. Remember that lady? She had the super impact on the company," and people are like, "Yeah, I do remember. What was her name?" But you
Mm-hmm.
know who will never say that is your family, your
Yeah.
children in particular. And so, if you've been listening to this podcast, you'll see that that's a common theme of what we talk about. If you want to have the greatest impact, um, who said that? What was it? Say the lady name? The Mother Teresa.
Mm.
Is that her name, Mother Teresa?
I
If
don't
you
even
want
know
to
what.
have the greatest impact, go home. Right?
Mm.
It's somebody famous has made the reference to, like, if you truly want to change the world, that's what it was. Go home. Start at home.
Mm.
That's where you change the world. You're not. Yeah, you're gonna have an impact, and they're gonna talk all these great things while you're living, dude. For the most part, in
Yeah.
our world, we're lucky, right? We get to have tremendous impact at our respective universities. But at the end, Caesar, on your tombstone, it'll say a reference to what? Brother, father, son.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, man. It's not going to say chief architect of whatever, whatever, executive director, vice president. They're not going to say all that, man. Not on your gravestone. And that's just a gentle reminder, gentlemen, if you're listening in, spouses of those crazy gentlemen that we get to engage with every week. We have to remind ourselves what we're doing and why we're doing it, and that's really the ongoing theme here
Mm-hmm.
of what we do.
Yeah, just remembering the why. And I think that's the important thing. Understanding that yes, the work that we do, our professions, whatever our careers, they're important, but without taking the why from the forefront. I think that needs to be ultimately what we want to do, and focus more on that than the actual profession and career.
And you got to give credit where credit is due. On whatever today's date is, actually, I did it earlier, but I want credit for coining the phrase "applicant American." I want credit. All right. So as we transition out, what are some of the things you can do to honor those who have transitioned during the holidays? What? Give us some ideas. What have other people done? How do we honor them, man?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I guess it's just like I said, keeping their memory alive, trying to go back and reminisce, see some pictures, see videos or whatever when stuff like that. I hear a lot of people they leave a empty seat at the table.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
honestly would never do it.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
I yeah, it seems I understand the logic and I understand the behind it, but in practicality, I don't think I would ever do that.
For you,
Yeah,
others
yeah, yeah.
might.
No,
Right.
that's
Others
what I'm saying.
might.
Like, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like me, I would never do that. Just
Yeah.
specifically, just because I don't know, it doesn't feel right.
What about something along the lines of like making their favorite dish, right? And just be like, yo, this is my dad's favorite meal, and or this is the meal my dad used to always make,
Mhm.
and so we
Just
didn't
like
do it any justice, but this is as good as we can do to get it there,
that.
right? Maybe he was, I don't know, he made all the sides or whatever. And there's a way of honoring family that
For sure,
transitions,
for sure, for sure.
and we hope that if you listen to us today um, that if you're in a tough spot emotionally, if you're
Hmm.
dealing with some mental health issues, or if you're brave enough to say something like that, there's resources, there's help for
Reach out
you
to
to
people,
for
find
you,
somebody,
right?
find community.
Yeah, and Caesar's been great about sharing those links in our comment section. So if you're struggling with those difficulties, the realities of life, right?
Yeah,
There are resources available to you. If you recently lost someone, I'm going to encourage you to grieve the way you need to grieve, whatever that means. There's no
there's
standard
no right
to
way.
grieving.
Mm-mm.
You need to cry, bro. You need time alone. You need to punch a wall,
You need
punch
to go
somebody
back to
else's
work.
wall.
You need to go
Yeah,
back
man.
to work the day
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah, man. There's things you can do, but go punch a bag, man. A
Yeah,
punching
not a
bag.
wall, bro, because you get broken fingers
Yeah, yeah. The
and they're done.
walls, man. There's just things you can do, man. And if you have the energy, you know, uh, reach out to others and set an opportunity to honor those family members or friends,
Mm-hmm.
and even people believe in honoring their pets. Pets that
Yeah.
mean so much to people. Honor them during the holidays. If you want to leave a seat open, if you want to take out more pictures of them, if you want to share stories. And I'll share this when I the first Christmas after I lost my mom, it was tough, and I thought I was good, dude. Like I had everything. Like we had a little get together. We had, and then a couple days later, we're cooking up, and everything was fine. But those little moments started to trigger, and then it culminated into a larger situation that I was not prepared for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because again, I thought I was good. I thought everything was squared away. And so just be mindful of that, man. Surround yourself with others. And I heard someone talk the other day is like that after they lost a family member they cared about deeply, they wanted people to take them out. Actually, they told their family member, "Hey, next week I need a different one of you to take me out to coffee every morning because I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm gonna be all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that do whatever it takes, man. Do it.
Do it.
So
Mm-hmm.
Caesar, take us out, man. How you know? Thank you all for listening and for subscribing, and we're pretty excited that our reach is not only nationwide but it's international.
Yeah.
And so we're pretty humbled by listeners from all over this great world, and we do apologize. Sometimes the topics are a little on the heavier side, but that's the reality of life, death, and everything in between.
Yeah. We got to talk about it. I mean, honestly, that's why we started this podcast to talk about those hard topics and those hard conversations. So we'll continue to do that, and we'll continue to be mindful of some of those heavy topics as well, and also be mindful to take care of ourselves. I think too, because obviously, like we've mentioned before, when we talk about these topics, they hit us too. So just being mindful to ourselves and taking care of ourselves while also providing a good information and good resources for our listeners out there. But we
Yeah.
appreciate you guys listening this week, and um, yeah, appreciate you guys.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.